One of the latest things that we have been working about is really around generative AI, and we have worked on a platform and we've been working closely with PCMA on that, on a platform called Spark. Happy to share more about this later. And at association level, I'm involved in PCMA, I'm involved in SASIOS, which is the Singapore Trade Association. And yeah, so we're looking forward towards the conversation today.
Thank you, Vivar. I'll move on to the next slide. Today we have one more speaker from PCMA Apex. So Florence, you can also do self-introduction.
Good afternoon. Hello. 안녕하세요. I think up Japanese is
Konnichiwa.
arigatou gozaimasu, right? It's Ohio.
No, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Oh yes, afternoon.
Right.
So good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Florence. I'm the managing director for PCMA in Asia Pacific. So my background has always been more focusing on, in the past, on agency delivering, events for clients in the region and globally. But I joined PCMA about 2.5 years ago when I left China and came back to Singapore. So now I've been here for the last 2.5 years. The team based in Singapore and around the region, not all of us are in Singapore, will really focus on driving engagement of the business event industry across the region. So let me also quickly take this time, it's okay with Shogo, to do a quick introduction of PCMA in case we have
go ahead.
Fellow participants here. So Ronnie, the next slide. Let me show a quick video about PCMA. I think the video speaks 1,000 words.
What we do matters. We at PCMA are striving towards economic and social transformation as a global organization. Our presence in more than 70 countries around the world gives us a unique advantage to leverage the business events industry and its wonderful people to make a real and lasting change. Bringing people together from all backgrounds will foster the social transformation we not only want to see for our future, but the transformation the world deserves. You're not alone on your career journey through life. We want to help educate, inspire, listen, and create meaningful experiences where passion, purpose, and commerce comes together. We are PCMA.
Somos PCMA.
Wir sind PCMA.
Noi係 PCMA.
We are PCMA.
Somos PCMA.
We are PCMA.
Noi siamo PCMA.
Nous sommes PCMA.
Somos PCMA.
We
are PCMA.
Thank you. So the video was a bit of lag. Ronnie, can you go to the next slide? Okay, so just quickly, PCMA, we are the largest group of business event strategists globally, right? So what we really focus is help the industry and professionals in the industry through education and business networking. Now, we are an association governed by a board of directors. And the critical thing that we believe in, most importantly on this slide, is our vision. The PCMA vision is together we drive global economic and social transformation through business events. Ronnie, the next slide. Just to quickly let you understand who is PCMA, who are our members in our community. So you see here, the DNA of PCMA, it's half of the membership and community are event organizers and planners. And the other half is our suppliers, right? Which includes our destinations, our venues, and our partners. Now, within the PCMA membership and community, you have generally the more senior decision makers. So about close to 70% have more than 10 years in the experience in the industry, and about close to 80% are decision makers, right? So the next slide. Now, one of the things that PCMA does a lot is we provide a lot of educational resources free of charge, even if you are not a member today, right? So If you go to our website today, you can find a lot of research. So for example, a research that we published late last year was guiding principles in experience design. So there's a lot of research and reports that you can look at. The Convene magazine, it's also free for the digital version, and the members get the print version. And we have a lot of newsletter. In addition to that, we also do a lot of webinars, like what we're doing today, that we offer complimentary to the industry to support the development of the industry. The next slide. But more than anything else, what is really critical is, as an association, we are driven and supported by a group of volunteers. So at the top, you're governed by the board of directors. Supporting the board of directors are 5 different advisory boards around the world. So you have 4 different regions: APAC, EMEA, Latin America, Americas, and 2 other functional advisory boards. So this advisory board for Asia Pac that you see here on your screen, they are spread across the region, with Shogo Canada, who's in charge of Japan and Korea market. And Bimal, who is here with us today, he just stepped off 2 years on the global board. So we're very proud to have him on the global board. Bimal, you are still going to be very busy with PCMA, even though you're not on the board. So with that, let me hand this back to Shogo.
Yeah, thank you, Florence. Then please move on to the next slide. Indeed, this webinar is organized by PCMA, but with the support of these 2 organizations, Japan Mice Expo and Korea Mice Expo. And both of exhibitions are trade exhibition in this business event industry. And both of them are will be held in this autumn, October 17th, 18th for Japan Mice Expo and November 6th, 8th for Korea Mice Expo. And today we have a representative from Korea Mice Association, who is an organizer of Korea Mice Expo. So Miss Giri, are you here already? You can say, and you can introduce Korea Mice Expo by yourself as well.
Hello all, this is Kiri from Korea Mice Association. Firstly, you cannot see my video clip, but I'm on live that I will give some short intro. Firstly, thanks for inviting us to promote this PCMA Labs among our Korea Mice Association member. It is really good opportunity to experience them, to learn some ideas about the AI. And as Shogo already told that Korea Mice Expo will be held in November 6th to 8th in Songdo Convention, Incheon, and it's organized by our association, Korea Mice Association. So we are welcoming all of you in November. And can I say in Korean for our
Yes, of course.
participant? Yeah. 네, 저희 참가하신 분들 중에 아마 한국인 분들도 많으실 텐데요. 저희 협회에서 PCMA와 이제 잦은 교류를 추진하고 있는 상황에서 지금 랩스라는 새로운 교육 프로그램을 시작하고 있는 단계입니다. 그래서 주제도 AI라는 좋은 주제로 무료 세미나를 진행하게 되어서 저희 회원사들 대상으로 홍보를 진행했고요. 앞으로 이어지는 교육들 잘 들어주시면 감사하겠습니다. Yeah, I just finished my Korean language and yes, thanks again. And I'm ready to hear the good seminar.
Thank you, Giri. Giri,
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Yeah, then finally we can start the fireside chat with these 2 speakers. And today we prepared 2 topics. And first topic is how is AI itself is incorporated in business events in our industry. So who and where and when we can most likely use this AI to boost and develop our business. So first of all, Bimal, as a head of the tech company, who are quite familiar with this field, you can give us some advice, comment for this topic, this question. Please go ahead.
So AI itself, in general, is a very big topic right now, right? So especially last year, and especially since the release of ChatGPT, I would say. What ChatGPT has done, it has brought about like a new type of AI, and we call that generative AI. So with this new type of AI, like what's possible is is really to get some of the things. Number one is the technology is very accessible now, and we can get all sorts of things created, right? So many of you probably already familiar with things like, for example, images that can be created, text that can be created. So there are many different applications. And within our whole industry itself, on our side, on my side, like I've been spending quite a bit of time to see how within the context of business events, how is it that AI can be incorporated? How is it that generative AI can be incorporated? And it turns out there's plenty of ways. So maybe if I can do a little bit of sharing of some slides, and
please.
If we can go on the next slide, please. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show you a little bit of some of the work, the groundwork that we have been doing. We call this initiative Spark. So Spark today is a platform as well. So it's a unified platform that shows, like, within the context of business event, how we can leverage on AI to bring about productivity gains. So if we press on next, so across where, what kind of domains, right? So in terms of sales and marketing, in terms of analysis, in terms of learning and development, in terms of legal, ideation, strategy, and planning. And the way we've went about with it, next slide, is
sorry, so the Spark is something like a SaaS for business events industry.
That's
when we try to
correct.
design the events. I see.
So that's the result of that. And this whole thing last year started with a whole bunch of user research. And that's where then we partnered with PCMA. If we can click on next, we engage throughout the year on a whole bunch of activities. You can see Flow here. That was in Malaysia, where we were running some workshops. So we've been running some workshops in the US, in Canada, across many different places in throughout Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, Europe. So we've been meeting with quite a lot of people to really explore, to drill down hand in hand, like how is it that AI can help? And this is what then culminated into Spark, next slide, where last year, we basically engaged with over 4,000 event professionals within the business events industry across 43 different countries. And then Spark, which I was sharing about, is really a tool now, right? Where then we're showcasing exactly how can there be tasks where the business events industry can really leverage on that. Next slide. And it turns out there are many different ways where we can leverage on AI primarily to boost productivity. So boost productivity on what aspects? So we realize there are many different things out there where AI can be leveraged on. Next step, next slide. The very first thing, and I'm just going through very surface level. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So one of the first example is around content generation. Next slide. So around content generation, when we work on events, and the language can be English, can be Japanese, can be Korean, or any other languages, it's like we need to create an event agenda. We need to create, write the description for a session. We need to write email invites, confirmation email, or even write press releases. So all of these, now we can leverage on generative AI to help do these things. So I'll show you one example. So let's say you have a speaker and you wanted to write a bio for the speaker, because you've been chasing the speaker doesn't come back to you. So how do you write the speaker bio? So next slide. So what you're seeing here is Spark in action, where just now, like you saw a copy pasting of the LinkedIn URL of a speaker. So within Spark, just by providing the LinkedIn URL of the speaker, straight away, the speaker bio can be generated. And then you can say, hey, I want it in 50 words. I want it in 100 words. What kind of tone do I want it in? And then straight away, like the tool grabs the information from LinkedIn and then write the speaker bio. So That's useful for one speaker, but imagine you're doing a larger conferences with 30 speakers or 300 speakers for that matter. So then this is like a big productivity tool. So that's one example. Next one, next slide. The next case where we realize generative AI helps a lot is in the domain of what we call qualitative analysis. So what is qualitative analysis? So next slide, yeah. So let's say you're doing a survey, which we all do for our events. At the end of the event, you have a survey form, then people respond to this survey form. And again, the output could be in English or any other language. And then people respond through the survey. So a typical Excel file that contains the responses will be like this, where then there's all sorts of feedback. So now using this Excel file, you can put that in Spark, for example. Next slide, please. And I want to show you how this works. So like in this case here, this is on Spark. You come in, you upload your file, which is an export of the server responses. And then you can say, hey, you know what? Do a sentiment analysis of the survey. And now the tool will automatically make sense of the information. It will tell you how many positive words, how many negative words. And then for the positive ones, what are the snippets? So who spoke about that? What are some of the insightful observations? What are the implications? And more importantly, what are the recommendations? Like in this case here, point number one, next time we should recruit a diverse range of speakers for different topics. And this is basically generated out of the box through generative AI. Next slide, please. So, okay, so I've just showed you two examples of how generative AI can be used to do tasks for event professionals. So when you're, and there are many such examples out there. So the next thing that I want to talk about is how generative AI can be used to augment attendees' experiences during events. And this is something that we call Spark Takeaways. And this is something that I want to show you like what PCMA did earlier this year at San Diego. So next slide. All right, so maybe before I show you that, so this slide, what you're seeing here, and by the way, at the end of this session, we will all be able to experience this for this session itself. So imagine there's a speaker on stage, live, real time, talking. At the end of the session, you have AI here, leveraging on AI as a tool that can summarize the whole topic of what the speaker has done, has been speaking about. And that's exactly what this tool does here. Next slide. And this is what we did earlier this year in San Diego at Convening Leaders. Next slide. Yeah, so that was at the Convening Leaders. So there was this session. So many of you would probably recognize him and her. So that's former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. So they were invited on stage for a conversation, and it was a really good, robust conversation. So what we did in here was we took the audio feed of the session, and then we plugged that, in this case, into Spark Takeaways, right? Leveraging on generative AI. And at the end of the session, so this is what happened. Next slide, please. As you can see here, this is the moderator. She's now standing up. And then what you can see on your left-hand side of the screen, something on her right, there is a slide showing up that is showing a summary of the session. Next slide, please. So that summary shows something like this, which is what we call an idea cloud, which basically summarizes the different topics that was spoken about. And then that can be visually shown on stage. And then there's a QR code, which everybody can then just scan and then grab that on their phone. And then they can get it and even get it on different languages.
Interesting.
So look, that's a few examples of now what is possible. And like I said, over this webinar itself, we hope to be able to showcase that to you. But yeah, that's a few examples of how the state of AI. Yeah.
This was appeared just right after the session finished, right? Automatically.
Right after the session finished. That's correct. Yeah. So it's almost real time. Yeah.
I see. So I think this is the last slide you prepared, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have some questions. So you introduced some typical examples to incorporate AI in this industry, business industry. Then which how should I say? Which aspect is we most likely using AI means that as an event organizer, they try to use AI to develop content and analyze some data. How you see organizers most likely using AI for which aspect at the moment?
Okay, great question. So in fact, these examples that I've shown just now is what we're seeing as categories where there's more traction. So things, marketing, sales activities, there's lots of potential, and that's where we're seeing faster adoption of AI.
I see.
Everything to do with content generation. And when I talk about content generation, so sales and marketing, that's one, but also educational aspects. So for example, from an association perspective. So now what's possible and what many associations are using these technologies for is to create educational content. So imagine you have a panel session, you have a recorded video or multiple recorded videos, and now you want to build a course around it where you want to structure it into different topics, or you want to create a quiz. So for example, on Spark today, you can just upload your videos and then generate and then create a quiz. For example, create a polling set of polling question, which then you can then put into your LMS, or what's even possible is to use these videos to repurpose them, or podcasts repurpose them into even an ebook, so that you can generate an ebook and then different. So big usage on that.
And it definitely help organizers to save the cost to develop education content after they organize this event.
There you go. Because these content, when they're generated, like nobody is now straight away just copying them and then using them straight away. But what they are doing is they are using this as the first draft. Like to create an ebook, for example, typically would take days, but now that can done in a matter of minutes. But then once that first draft is done, then you start doing your other piece of work, right? We're vetting it, changing it. Yeah. And that's productivity gain.
Thank you for your advice and comments. Then Florence, as an industry association and also an organizer of the conference named Business of Events, how do you see this trend? Do you have any comments to add on Beamer?
Yeah, no, I think first and foremost, I think this is a very interesting story for everybody, that we should all feel very proud that what Beamer has presented, the Spark, I would say it's Asian innovation, right? It's an innovation that it's from Asia for the world, right? So I think we should all be very proud of that. And it's almost funny because the story to this was Beamer and I were at an event last year when ChatGPT became such a big topic. And then when Beamer and we have a chat, we're like, you know what? I think the first question we need to ask ourselves is AI really going to be relevant for the business events or MICE, right, in Asia?
Yeah.
But is it going to be relevant? And I think what we thought after we played with it ourselves was actually there's a lot of practical application that could really be meaningful for us. And that's kind of why PCMA gave me say, let's come together on a partnership and explore what this means for the industry. So even today, I don't know that we have the perfect solution. Think of it as a real startup that every day we are improving, we are learning how AI is working for our industry. I don't know what is the level of AI adoption with our participants today. Feel free to tell us in the chat box. But when we started working on this a year ago, ChatGPT was everywhere. Everybody thinks that ChatGPT is AI, and AI, ChatGPT equals that one single thing around the world. But as we discover, right, there's so many AI tools. I mean, last year we did easily, I don't know what, Beamer, 30, 40 events all around the world. And we realized that there were so many tools that is for graphics, for audio, for copywriting, for everything under the sun, for coding. But there wasn't one that is designed for event organizer, for event professionals.
Yeah, correct.
And given that event professionals, we are, as usual, super busy, overwhelmed, no time.
Correct.
How are we expecting the event organizer to figure out how to use AI? I mean, we can't expect people to go and say, let me figure out how to do proper ChatGPT coding or prompting so that I can get the best results. So I think what we have done here is really thinking that, hey, I think there is real need. And let's try to figure out how do we make the lives of event professionals better, easier, and increase productivity. So from a PCMA standpoint, I would say that, it's been a very interesting journey for us. And, Vima can add to that. When we first started on this journey last year, there was a lot of concern about data privacy. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it hallucination? Where is my data going? So there was so much concern. But I think what I'm really excited right now is to what Vima just shared with Spark Takeaway. Right? Spark Takeaway remove all of that because it's taking a live feed from your event today. So you already own all your event content and you can repurpose it to any way you like for your participants immediately on site. So it's delivering real value for the organizer, for your members, for your participants, but sidestepping a lot of the complicated LLM issues that's out there in the world today. And so for me, I think this is one big win. Now, but of course, there's a lot of other things that I think Vima also showed that it really helps to save time. I mean, for anybody who runs medical conferences, scientific conferences, how many times have you received a bio from a professor that is 3 pages long?
So many.
It's mission impossible. Right? So imagine feeding that document into Spark and be able to generate that into 50 words or 100 words. So there's so much that can be done with it, which I find if you know it, it can really empower you. I think the challenge that we're seeing in the industry among our community right now is still most event professionals are still really busy. They're so busy that they don't even have the time to stop and say, can I spend some time to learn about how AI is going to help me? I don't necessarily think that it's always about, I don't believe. There's a small segment that say, I don't trust AI. But more than anything, I think a lot of people just tell me, I don't have the time to play with this. Right? So I think what we keep telling everybody is, but this busyness is not going away. Right? It's not going away. The last 2-3 years, we've all been busy. So if we don't take time to find tools and technology that will help us make our time better, we will be caught in this vicious hamster wheel of being busy. Right? So I think that's the other thing that we see among our community today. I think the last component is really understanding, right? And this is something that I think Bima will probably also agree that we are still trying to work on, which is understanding the workflow. Because if you only have a single tool or a single application, it does not solve the entire, what we call the jobs to be done, right? So what we are still in the process of understanding is what are some of the critical workflow processes that can truly be adopted by everyone in all organizations. So as we improve that, I think adoption will become easier because sometimes people find a hassle now because they're, if I do this, it's an incomplete chain. So I think we're trying to move towards like, how do we provide more end-to-end of a workflow with the different tasks and functionality that is in Spark. But that's it, right? And from an industry standpoint, it's not just Spark. I mean, what you see from Spark today is very text-based, right? So we play predominantly with text. But for everybody out there, if you need to do graphics, there's AI tool out there doing graphics, right? So whether it's Adobe, whether it's Midjourney, there's a whole bunch of them. There are apps doing music. There are apps that are doing 3D modeling. So think about all the time that our team spend doing all this creative stuff, right? So I would say that there's challenges, but there's also a lot of opportunities. So how do we explore? And that's why we call it the lab. The lab is about exploring It's about exploration.
Okay, thank you. Then we move on to the next topic. Any challenges to fully utilize AI in this industry? So let's say like this. Meanwhile, we understand that regarding Spark itself, it's really beneficial for event organizers when they try to design event. I guess you already see so many organizers trying to use this Spark to design their event. Then what kind of challenges, what kind of struggles you see they are facing now to incorporate Spark or other AI technology as well to design their events?
So maybe if we take a step back,
Okay.
it's like where are we at with regards to AI, generative AI adoption. I think we are at a point in time now where this is very much like what I would call the internet moment. Remember back in the days when internet was new, and then there were the .com companies that came about. They say, hey, the world will change. One day we will all meet online. We will buy things online. We will go to school online. We'll buy the pet food online. And then it all crashed, right? Because the technology was still new and all that. And then people started laughing, right? Because they started saying, you see, these things will never happen, right? Because why would we buy a shirt online, a t-shirt online, when we can just go to the shop and buy it? Whatever was predicted, if you think about it now, around internet, everything has become true. We're meeting online right now. I'm here in Singapore, right? Flo is in Singapore, but somewhere else, right? You're in Japan, right? We have guests from Korea. So that's all happening. With AI, many of the things that we're talking about will soon be reality. But having said that, we are right now at the beginning of it all. For every new technology that there is what we call a technology adoption life cycle. At the beginning, it's really the early adopters who really adopt technology. And then the majority comes in. I think we're still at the stage of early adopters. Right now, the number one challenge is there are many people, and maybe many of you are on this call as well, that are probably just waiting and seeing. It's like, let us see what happens. Let us see who else is doing that. Now, that's not a challenge itself. That's just normal behavior. And I think we're going to see that. Like based on surveys, lots of people are saying, no, within this year, there was a US-based survey on associations where I forgot the actual numbers, but the majority of people think that this year, not much change will happen within their organization. But when asked, how about 2 years' time? How about 5 years' time? The majority of them then say, yes, in 2 years' time, many things will change. In 5 years' time, definitely, right? So I think the number one thing, number one challenge, if I would put it, is really around education. So which is why, like, for example, these type of session, I think is very important, like to open up people's mind in terms of the possibilities, in terms of what's happening out there. And with regards to AI, what we've always been, one of the fear that people have, and which is why they tend not to adopt AI or technology, is that the fear of, will this replace me? Will this replace my job? Right? So that's where there's a saying that goes, it's like, don't worry, AI will not replace your job, but you know who will replace your job? Is the person who's using AI.
It's correct. It's correct. Yeah.
Right. So it's more of, I would say, number one, that education that needs to be done, and within organization, one of the challenge is really change management, like changing people's mindset. That's the most difficult one.
Yeah, interesting. I'm just curious. You said early adopter, right? Then who is an early adopter at the moment, especially in Asia Pacific? For example, is it a corporate or association, or it's a corporate meeting organizer, initiative travel organizer, exhibition organizer? You see, who will be an early adopter at the moment?
It's a mixture of everybody, right? So within associations as well, there are early adopters. I would say PCMA is an early adopter, right?
Yeah.
Because look at what they've deployed live within their event. And not just this year, right? Starting last year. Within corporate events as well. We've got Siemens, right? In the tech world, they're not necessarily known as being the fastest one because they're just such a huge company based in Germany, lots of stringent privacy laws. And we've actually published a case study with them. And they've been adopting like generative AI tool to do many of the things that I've shown earlier, in fact, more within that. Venues as well. So likewise, it's like there are early adopters in each and every segment. And that's what we should expect. Like within association itself, there are the early adopters, but the majority tend to be coming in.
Just seeing the situation.
Yeah. But corporates are probably moving a little bit faster just because of the nature of, and you know, like especially tech companies or companies who wants to have that idea, want to portray an image of innovation, and then they want to try something. Yeah.
I see.
So that we're seeing big growth over there. Yeah.
I see. Thank you. Then Florence, as an industry association and also as early adopter to incorporate this, how do you see this? How organizers try to use AI? You have any
Well, I think
observations?
Yeah, no. So it's been interesting for us, right? For PCMA especially, because we're not just an early adopter. I would almost say that we are an instigator. So we kind of instigated this. So I think we have a lot of curiosity on, well, first of all, I think we have a belief that we think this is here to stay, right? I think most of us already realize that today, whether you're using iPhone, your Siri is already powered by AI, right? So maybe a lot of technology in your home, your washing machine, your TV, Microsoft Word, that Office that you're using today, they are already all powered by AI, whether you know it or not, whether they tell you explicitly or not. I think, so for us, we know and we believe that it's here to stay, it's not going away. So I think our curiosity is how do we embrace it and leverage the power of it rather than try and run away from it or reject it, right? So we want to learn to harness the technology, just like internet, just like online, just like broadband, anything, right? It's just a technology to us. Now, if we talk about really embedding it fully into everything we do, I think we are still learning. We are still using, I would say very honestly, using AI in different parts of the event journey.
I see.
Not as the entire journey. I still can't fully see it
just trying
in the entire journey, right? And that's the change management, that's the behavioral change that we're talking about. Because at this point, there's still a lot of exploration going on. Unless you have time, and the honest truth is you need to have time. If you don't have time to play with it and learn, you don't know how to make it work to the best possible. Right? So I think that's what we are doing. So we use it a bit in the pre-planning, in a lot of the marketing, right? So when we write something, sometimes when I run out of ideas, or I have 10 ideas, I'm not happy with either one of them, I put it into a ChatGPT or to Spark and I say, well, give me another 10. So after you get 50 ideas, maybe you will spark a better idea. So I think we still use it as assistant tool, right? I think it's still an assistant today. Now, but like I said, what I find really interesting right now is how we can bring it on site. So I think what Spark has done is close the gap of the event journey between on-site, which is a lot of the content repurposing, the ideation component, to the on-site component. I don't know that we have fully leveraged the post-event part of this, right? And I say post-event is to Vima's point. Once you have all the content captured and you have the transcript of everything, imagine the good old times whereby the writers, your content people have to sit there and listen to the video for 5 hours, 10 hours. Now you don't need to. Everything is already done in summary. So I think we can be, as an association, we can be much faster in repurposing the content for our members, which we do to some extent. I think there's still a lot of exploration that we can do to look at all the content that we develop. how do we quickly take that and develop it into short courses, not long courses, right? Because, or micro courses, so to speak, right? I think with everybody being so short on time, I think we can do more with 15 minutes, 30 minutes courses rather than like a 30 hours courses that people don't have the time for. And I think that can be easily done when you can repurpose content. For example, today, I'm sure from today content, we can easily repurpose a 10-minute. A quick understanding of AI application, something like that. So I think I would say, still baby steps, still a long way to go into the exploration. But the thing here that is really exciting is more and more people are becoming less fearful of it. I think in the beginning, there was a lot of fear. I think now there's probably less fear.
Okay, thank you. And just now I realized, maybe this could be a mistake, but Miss Yeonji Kim raised hand. Miss Yeonji Kim is here. If you have any questions, we can share here and answer your question.
Yes. Yes. Oh, she's saying hello.
I just want to tell her. Thank you.
Yeah.
So anybody has
is there
question?
any question from anybody? I think, I mean, I'm almost curious if you can all share in the chat window, are you using AI? And what kind of AI tools are you using today? If you can type into the chat window, because I think that will help us understand what you are already used to.
Anybody? Sorry again, but how about KMA? You guys are also an organizer of some conference and exhibitions now. So
or
if you
maybe
have any...
we should ask Curie. Curie, do you want to ask the question for me in Korean?
No, I think I can tell my opinion about the AI. So for me, I sometimes use the generative AI system to gather some of ideas or some simple things I need to check. For example, is it okay to use this word in this case, or is it okay to just for checking, not the very deep deep questionings like that. So for me, it's only a simple questions or simple checking to do some before I do some project. Know what I mean?
Yeah. So maybe if I can just add here. So I think that's great, Curie. And maybe that's where we should all start, right? With these, with the simple use cases. But you know what? It's like you could push the boundary. The next area is really about, like, for example, using generative AI. Like, for example, a tool like Bing Chat, or now it's called Copilot, to use it for research purposes, because it's not just generative AI as a chat, but it's connected to real-time internet content. So if you wanted to do some research about some latest topic, for writing a white paper, for example, or even new kind of content that you're doing. So that's a great use case. I use that myself daily.
So now we got a message from Yeonji Kim again, and she can share her experience using AI.
Hi, my name is Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Yeonji Kim, and I'm the exhibition organizer in Korea. So I just wanted to share our experience using AI to promote our exhibition in Korea. We have to promote every year our exhibition to all the audience and the buyer and other the participant who willing to participate in our exhibition. So in the past, we have asked to the expert to make a promotional video or the promotional the image to promote for our exhibition. But nowadays, we are trying to use the AI to make a promotional video by ourselves, but it's really difficult difficult to make a video. So we hope, but I'm pretty sure that it can be helpful for organizer both exhibition and the conference to promote their own the event. So we need to keep studying together and to encourage each other to use how we can use it effectively and to promote our event by using the AI.
Thank you. Bimor, you may have some concrete example of the PCOs and PEOs. Do you have any?
Yeah.
Bimor.
So another example. So as I mentioned, the exhibition, the category of the exhibition is food and beverage, especially the beer. And most of the the baking beers, they almost all brewers are using the AI program to make their label. Do you know what I mean? The beer label. Yeah, they use the AI program to make a label. Yeah, because the brewery is very small and that they don't have enough the budget to hire the designer. So they found another way to make a label by using the program. So there are so many cases in Korea as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then maybe just to add on, like from a PCO, PEO's perspective, and again, maybe back to content, like one of the area which is getting quite a bit of traction is in making content more inclusive or more accessible, rather, language, right? So now getting good quality content being translated, let's say educational content, session content being translated into different languages. That's very easy now, right? And then where the content is in different types of formats, basically. And hopefully later we can show you that as well.
Yeah, thank you. So time is up, and thank you for your question and sharing your experience, Gyuri and Yeonji. So please move on to the next slide. Yeah, so here we will introduce business of events organized by PCMA. So Florence, you can come in and explain the detail.
Yes, thank you, Shogo. So the business of events is PCMA APEC annual conference. Now, because of COVID, the last time we held a regional event was back in 2020. The last one in 2020 was in Sydney. We actually had the convening leaders as a hybrid version in Singapore in 2021 during COVID. But the last 2 years, because of COVID and everything else, we decided to put it on hold. Last year, when we were traveling across the region running events, we had the same query from the members to say, so when are we going to have an APEC conference again to bring everybody back together? So here comes our APEC conference back again, branded as the Business of Events, on the 15th of 16th April in Singapore. First time we're doing it in Singapore, just in case you're wondering, why are you in Singapore again? It's not again, we've never been in Singapore. We've been to China, we've been to Australia, we've been to Thailand, different parts. So can I have the next slide? I wanted to take you through a quick video to tell you more about what is Unbound, which is our theme for today, for the year.
Unlearning can be tough. It's like overcoming sticky music syndrome. It's like, how do I remove the jingle, Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue out of my head? It's like, it's there to stay forever. The American futurist Alvin Toffler suggested that the illiterate of the 21st century is not someone who cannot read or write, but someone who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Unlearning is important because you unblock and release all the preconceived notions and bias that your experiences has given you. You learn from leaders from other industries, from parallel industries, to see how they would deal with a certain problem that you otherwise would have faced in a certain way. So this whole unlearning process allows us to unblock our mind, to relearn, and to bring ourselves to a new horizon.
So a personal benefit for me is that it helps to broaden my peripheral vision, and it helps me to see the voids that I never knew existed. And when we are wanting to fill up those voids, I think that's when unconventional creativity can take place and can help us to look at different ways and innovative methods to fill up those voids.
Thank you. Can I have this next slide? Next slide. Thank you. So the theme for the year, it's Unbound. And we were really focused on unlearning and relearning. And this is sort of the inspiration from the community over the last 18 months. As we go around the region and we talk to everybody, we realized that there were some challenges, and not just technology. There were a lot of challenges around talent acquisition, talent retention. There were a lot of mindset challenges around innovation. People are feeling tired, burnout, because we felt tired during COVID. We're still feeling tired now. So the tired part hasn't gone away. So part of all these challenges that we face, I think has sort of inspired us to say that actually, in fact, very much in a way, the future that we are moving into is a very different future. And we need to unlearn some of the old ways, or maybe the old thinking that we have, that have served us well, but may not be as relevant in the future, which is why we figured unlearn and unlearning from other industries. So the way that we will build the program is, next slide, please. On day one, the format is about learning from other industry experts on future thinking that will lead us into the future, on how do you really look at the future of middle management, which really address the talent issue today. Because a lot of the middle managers, which are, most of you probably understand, is your engine, is your powerhouse of your organization. But we are hearing a lot about disengagement. So we want to understand, how do we engage this younger generation of middle manager who will power the success of your organization? And then we want to learn about, in current uncertain times, which continues to be so, as a leader, how do you take risk-driven decision? How do you go about making decisions to move forward? So that's all learning from experts outside our industry on day one. And then on day two, next slide, that's where we will bring back the labs. So today, it's a very, I would say, a light touch of what a lab looks like, which is exploring a lot of new topics, emerging topics. But generally, when we actually run a face-to-face lab is extremely interactive and hands-on. So when we did the AI labs around all the other cities, everybody is supposed to bring their laptop. We show you case studies, you work on the case studies, you discuss in a group, you see how things are done. So it's highly interactive. So on day two, we will be doing a whole bunch of different topics, including AI. Now, some of the topics that you see here, it's currently out for a vote. So we're asking the community to vote on what topics do you want to explore on day two, right? The next slide. So I don't want to take up more time because we have something very exciting to share with you, and I'll pass the time to Vimal. But yeah, I just hope that you'll take the time to look at our website, look at the speakers, and hopefully we'll see most of you at the Business of Events in April in Singapore.
Yeah, thank you, Florence. Move on to the next slide, which is last slide of today's webinar. So, Vimal, as you said, you prepared some takeaways for everybody, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So maybe if I can just quickly share my screen. So this is, so I'm going to share my screen now. I hope you can see my screen now?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So look, what you're seeing here is all real time actually. So this was generated like this. This is a bunch of things that we spoke about, the transformative potential of AI.
Oh.
And now I can drill into that. AI is bringing unprecedented transformation for the business events industry. And then I spoke about that. What is it that exactly that I said? So we had this AI engine plugging into the conversation here, understanding it, and then summarizing it for us. And then that's what we call basically an idea cloud, right? So how should AI be used as a productivity tool? And then Florence as well spoke about that. So in this case here, around this topic, there was both of us who spoke about this. And now the best of it all is that this content here can now also be translated. And maybe you can check the accuracy of this, Rogo, right?
So, it seems to be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So then this is in Japanese, and then we get the whole thing translated in Japanese here as well.
I just realized that the name itself is also translated.
The name is translated as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And then this is in Korean, right?
Wow.
Is it accurate?
This is accurate. I got a goosebump actually.
Right. So and here's the thing. It's like then this content here, there's a QR code. So you can all now on your phone scan this QR code, and then you'll be able to, that's why we call it the takeaway, and then have this on your phone. I think by default it will show in English, but then on the top right-hand corner, you'll have this drop-down list where you can switch the language. So then feel free to switch the language. And then this is still happening right now because this is real time. As you can see here, it says session is in progress, expect updates in content. So probably after we are done, you check again, you will see, hey, there are some updates. And we see this as like AI in action for business events. And that's what I mean by, for example, now one of the big use case is to make content accessible through languages. And now this is fully real time. So obviously there might be some stuffs which are not done perfectly, but I think the technology expect it to keep on getting better and better.
I see. Interesting. So even we speak in, let's say, Japanese or Korean, this can be applicable. Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
And that's the beauty of generative, what we call that the generative large language models, is like the input can be English and then Japanese, Korean, but the input can be Korean to Japanese, Korean to English, Korean to French, right? So it basically can cater for a whole bunch of languages fairly accurately. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
So the beauty about this is you will see this being utilized much more at the business of events. And I think this is important because I think the technology also help us address accessibility, right? Accessibility in terms of language, in that I think there can be using technology to help people with the language barrier in our region. Because in our region, you will always have Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Thai, all of it. And we will never be able to fully customize for everyone. But I think with technology, with this getting more affordable, we can be a lot more inclusive, right? So that you can feel like you can come here and really learn and not struggle to be part of the content and be part of the community.
Yeah. I think time is now up, and thank you for everybody. And we are looking forward to seeing you in Singapore, right? April.
Yes. I look forward to seeing everybody.